What do you think is the most unpopular piece of furniture in my coaching practice? The chair a person sits in? No, it's the mirror I ask people to look into. When I make that suggestion to my clients, I see a slight cringe and I can hear them think, really? Do I have to look into that mirror again? Now, I'm not talking about that bathroom mirror where we look into and tell ourselves how much we love ourselves and that we are worthy. That's very important work, but that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm talking about the mirror that this wise teacher was referring to 2,000 years ago when Jesus said, don't try to remove the speck out of somebody else's eye. Remove the beam from your eye first. Well, what does that mean? Is before you go and judge somebody else, look at yourself and change yourself first before you expect others to change. Before we continue with this video, I really would love it if you can support this channel by liking this video and subscribing to this channel so that we can spread this message far and wide. Thank you in advance. Why do so many people dislike looking into that mirror? Well, it's because somehow it seems to imply that what I see in that person that I dislike is also in ourselves. In other words, if I'm looking at that politician I really don't like, or I have to deal with a narcissistic boss that is blocking my career, or my partner is having these habits that just irritate me, or that family member is so negative, I now have to look at myself. Instead of pointing out their mistakes, the mirror is asking me, where do you do a similar thing? Now, ouch, that hurts. We don't have to acknowledge that we do something similar to the people we so despise. Now, if we then also do this mirror work while we are angry, now our ego pops out, we become defensive, and we will find all the reasons why this mirror is a load of rubbish. We want to throw it in the bin and never look at it again. So, if this mirror is so horrible, so painful, why do I keep on insisting people to look into this mirror? That's not good for business to torture people and make them feel bad. I'm making that suggestion that we keep looking into the mirror because the price we pay for suffering from these situations where we feel we have no control over, we feel powerless, we feel stuck, like those ones I mentioned earlier, that pain is worse than our ego getting a little dented. Because when we look in the mirror, it gives us an amazing tool that creates a shift in those difficult situations. Because can you imagine those difficult people just disappear out of our life? Not because we put our head in the sand and now we don't see them. No, they move out or we move away. Another option is that those people change or we don't notice their behavior anymore. And a fourth option is that we will find a creative, effective solution in dealing with them. And the fifth result, and that's the one result we definitely will get from looking into the mirror, is that we will always have an idea, a step we can take to get unstuck and feel that we have more power in that situation. A number of people have asked me, When you apply the mirror, does that then mean that we have to just accept bad behavior? Not at all. Remember, number 4 was the option that we hold people accountable, or at least we deal with them effectively. And that can be that we hold people accountable. But what happens if there is no justice? If the people that perpetrated the crime were never caught? How can we then still reclaim our peace? And that is where the mirror comes in. The mirror is really good for claiming our power back. It shows us where we've made mistakes in the past, and it's not about feeling guilty. It's not about making us a bad person because we've made a mistake. No, it shows where we can grow. It shows us where we can change. The mirror is not about creating perfection, it's about claiming our freedom back. I mean, can you imagine those situations where we have no control over, like that politicians that we can't stand and the families are split up because one hates them and the other one loves them? What if we can just look at that politician and say, okay, well, I don't agree with what he's doing, but he's not pushing our buttons like before? Or if we disagree with other people or we see people do things that we dislike and we were upset about it and we can't do anything about it, then we can now look at them and realize, oh, yeah, I can change like this, so I'm not like you anymore. I even have seen that people have a difficult boss, they change, and then the boss start treating them differently. Partnerships, marriages, the problems resolve because people were willing to look in the mirror and the dynamics in the relationship changes. Aren't these type of results worth having that ego getting a little knock? Now, how is it possible that looking into that mirror can create such a change? Let's compare our life and the way we experience life a bit like how we experience looking at YouTube videos. Now, how does YouTube know which videos to put in our screen onto our screen? It's because of the algorithms. YouTube took all those videos and filtered it down to a couple of videos based on our previous behaviors, our interests, what we've been Googling. That idea of algorithms and filtering things down comes from the brain because our brain has been filtering so much information down to bit-sized pieces. We get all that information coming in through the senses and we just see a little bit of it. Now, how does our brain know what to show us? Again, it's where our interest lies, where we focus on. It's a bit about what we expect. But the most important element of our filtering system are our beliefs. Now, beliefs are thoughts that we think over and over again, that we start to perceive them as truths. They are formed often before the age of 7. They are formed by our traumas, life experiences, our upbringing, our culture, religion, and even inherited stuff has come through our genetic line. So, how we experience life is really our interpretation and the filtering of the information that came in through our senses. Let me give you an example of how the mirror works and the effects of it. Imagine we really dislike people that are disrespectful of us and others. And our brain will filter out and show us all the people that are disrespectful of us, and we get upset. And at the same time, we most likely overlook all the people that are kind and considerate. Now we are to look into that wonderful mirror, and then we realize we are disrespectful of ourselves because somewhere deep down, buried in the subconscious, we have the belief that we are unworthy of respect. And at that moment, many of us will feel really bad because now we are doing the exact same thing or a similar thing as the person we despise. And this is where the forgiveness comes in. It's very important that we realize, okay, you know what? It's okay, I've done this. I have that belief, but now it's time to change it. Because what Jesus said, or what he didn't say was identify the speck in the other person's eye and identify the beam in my own eye. He said, before we remove the speck, we must remove the beam. So that means that we need to change ourselves first. So, how can we treat ourselves with the respect that we want from others? Well, we can start by accepting how we feel at times. Instead of getting upset with ourselves because we're angry, we can say, you know what, it's okay. I'm really angry right now. And just accepting that's how we feel and it's okay and we still love ourselves when we are upset, that is a tremendous way of respecting ourselves. Another thing is to speak kindly to ourselves when we made a mistake. Instead of beating ourselves up for it, we look for ways to correct it. And we often feel that nobody compliments us. Well, we can start giving ourselves some compliments. It's all about treating others and ourselves equally. And one way we can do that is by voicing our needs instead of just keeping quiet. And what will happen is as we start to change, we start to notice how many people are out there that treat us well, who are kind and helpful. And even those people that we experience as disrespectful, we start to notice the times that where they are helpful and kind. When we use the mirror, the world hasn't changed. Our filter has. And when the filter changes, our experience of life changes with it. Can you see now the gift? Can you see now that it's worth getting our ego a little dented? That mirror reveals our limiting beliefs. And we are not to judge ourselves for having that belief. We can forgive ourselves for it because, we were younger than 7 probably when we picked it up somewhere. We can thank the mirror for showing us what we can change. And then we can choose a different belief so that we can experience a different filter. And that is why I keep returning to the mirror. Not because it's comfortable, but it's always worthwhile. One belief at a time, one relationship at a time, one situation at a time. The mirror doesn't show us what is wrong with us, it shows us where we still have power to grow. And that is why the mirror and I are great friends. Now, I would love to hear from you in the comments what you think about what I've just suggested, and maybe you have some experience to share with what you've learned from somebody who irritated you. I will look at all those comments as much as possible and I will reply. So please comment below, and I want to sign off by saying have fun and take some risks, and I'll see you in my next video.